VMware Certification 2V0-72.22 exam questions are helpful for you to study the test. Share some useful VMware 2V0-72.22 exam questions here with you. 1. Which statement describes the propagation behavior of propagation? Requires _new annotation. Choose the best answer. A. Starts a new transaction but throws an exception if an active transaction already exists. B. Joins a transaction if one already exists. Throws an exception if an active transaction does not exist. C. Starts a new transaction. If an active transaction already exists, it is suspended. D. Runs in a nested transaction if an active transaction exists. Throws an exception if an active transaction does not exist. 2. Which two statements are correct regarding Spring Boot auto configuration? Choose 2. A. Auto configuration uses conditional annotations to constrain when it should apply. B. Auto configuration could apply when a bean is missing but not when a bean is present. C. Auto configuration is applied by processing candidates listed in meta-inf, Spring factories. D. Auto configuration could apply when a bean is present but not when a bean is missing. E. Auto configuration is applied before user-defined beans have been registered. 3. Which two statements are true regarding storing user details in Spring Security? Choose 2. A. With a custom user details service defined in the application context, Spring Boot still creates the default user. B. Passwords must be hashed and the default hashing algorithm is MD5. C. User details can be stored in custom storage and retrieve them by implementing the User Details Service interface. D. User details can be stored in a database, in LDAP, or in memory. E. The user details includes username and password but not authorities. 4. In which three ways are security filters used in Spring Security? Choose 3. A. To provide risk governance. B. To drive authentication. C. To manage application users. D. To provide a logout capability. E. To enforce authorization, access control. F. To encrypt data. 5. Which two statements are true regarding Spring Security? Choose 2. A. Access control can be configured at the method level. B. A special Java Authentication and Authorization Service JAAS, policy file needs to be configured. C. Authentication data can be accessed using a variety of different mechanisms, including databases and LDAP. D. In the authorization configuration, the usage of permit all allows bypassing Spring Security completely. E. It provides a strict implementation of the Java EE security specification. 6. Which two statements about point-cut expressions are true? Choose 2. A. A point-cut expression cannot specify the type of parameters. B. A point-cut expression will throw an exception if no methods are matched. C. A point-cut expression cannot have a wildcard for a method name. D. A point-cut expression can include operators such as the following, and, or. Not. E. A point-cut expression can be used to select join points which have been annotated with a specific annotation. 7. Which three dependencies are provided by the Spring Boot starter test? Choose 3. A. Cucumber, B. Hamcrest, C. Spring test, D. Junit, E. EasyMock, F. PowerMock. 8. Spring puts each bean instance in a scope. What is the default scope? Choose the best answer. A. Prototype, B. Singleton, C. Request, D. Session. 9. Which two statements are true about REST? Choose 2. A. REST is a protocol. B. REST is stateful. C. REST is reliable. D. REST is interoperable. E. REST is relative. 10. Which following statements are true about Spring data? Choose 2. A. Spring data implementations exist for many data storage types, such as MongoDB, Neo4j, and Redis. B. Spring data works by applying the JPA annotations to data stores such as MongoDB, Neo4j, and Redis. C. Spring data can greatly reduce the amount of boilerplate code typically needed for data access. D. Spring data is specifically designed for JPA, JDBC, and relational database access only. E. Spring data cannot be used together with Spring MVC,